الحمد لله نحمده سبحانه ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وصفوته من خلقه وحبيبه قد بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وكشف الغمة وجاهد في سبيل دينه حتى أتاه اليقين اللهم اجزه عنا وعن والدينا وعن الإسلام والمسلمين خير ما جازيت به نبيا عن قومه ورسولا عن أمته اللهم أحينا على سنته وأمتنا على ملته واحشرنا تحت لوائه وأوردنا حوضه واسقنا من يده الشريفة شربة هنيئة لا نظمأ بعدها أبدا اللهم آمين. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran the ultimate purpose of fasting. يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. Fasting has been prescribed for you as it was prescribed for people before you, so that you may attain piety, you may attain righteousness. So the purpose, the ultimate purpose of fasting is piety. Some may tell you that fasting makes you feel for the poor, makes you feel for the underprivileged, the people who don't have the means you have. That is true. But the ultimate purpose is piety. Piety means to be observant of Allah's rules, to be mindful of Allah, to be cognizant, to be aware, to have a sense of constant feeling that Allah is always present in your life. Not just when you pray, not just when you come to the mosque, not just when you want to get married, not just when you want to strike a deal to make business, but piety should permeate every part of your life, which means it should penetrate through our souls, to our hearts, to our thoughts, to our actions. So fasting also linguistically means abstaining from something. When you abstain from talking, it's called fasting. In the Quran, Allah tells us in the story of Maryam, إِنِّي نَذَرْتُ لِلرَّحْمَنِ صَوْمًا فَلَنْ أُكَلِّمَ الْيَوْمَ إِنْسِيًّا. I have vowed a fast today, which means the day her community came to check on her and see the news, what happened. They were told that a virgin has delivered a baby. So they came to check. And she said, according to what Allah instructed her to, I am fasting. I am vowing a fast today. What was her fast? I am not talking to any human being. فَلَنْ أُكَلِّمَ الْيَوْمَ إِنْسِيًّا. In Arabic, this is called sawm. But siyam is the technical word in Arabic used for fasting Ramadan, fasting Monday and Thursday, fasting 3 days every month in the middle of the month, the 13th, the 14th, and 15th of Arabic lunar calendar months. So this is fasting. The application of fasting is what? To abstain from food, drinks, smoking, sexual activity, drinking, nothing of that from dawn time until sun sets fully. So until the sun sets, you are in a fast. So you don't approach your wife for sex, you don't do smoking, you don't eat, you don't try food, you just abstain from everything that can cause you to break the fast. And if you violate any of these basic rules of fasting, your fasting is broken and you have to make up that day for whatever reason. Of course, out of mercy and consideration, while fasting is prescribed for all adult Muslims from puberty until old age, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has exempted the sick and the traveler. فَمَنْ كَانَ مِنْكُمْ مَرِيضًا أَوْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ فعدة من أيام أخرى. Let them count the days when they are sick or traveling. Let them count those days in which they break the fast for sickness or travel, and then they can make it up later on. Now, this is the physical part of fasting, and it's not finished, because fasting also, physically speaking, strengthens the immunity of the person. Your immunity system is enhanced during the fasting of Ramadan. These are recent researches that have been done in different places, both in the Middle East and in Europe and in the United States. So fasting is good for people in general, but definitely we need to ask, which sick person should break the fast? Is it the flu? Is it sneezing? Is it serious sickness? Definitely sickness that does not get worse by fasting is not considered. Like if you feel fatigue or something like this, you may want to check your sugar, you may want to check with the doctor to see if fasting is good for you, you may want to check your blood pressure, but you can consult with your doctor about all of these issues. But the point here is, he who is sick or traveling, they can and they do have the license to make it up some other time. فمن كان منكم مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخرى يريد الله بكم اليسر ولا يريد بكم العسر ولتكملوا العدة ولتكبروا الله على ما هداكم ولعلكم تشكرون, to complete the 30 days of fasting or 29 days of the month of fasting, and to proclaim and glorify Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, what are the other benefits of fasting that we should really look for? The other benefits of fasting are tremendously important. Fasting is meant ultimately to be a spiritual exercise of loving Allah and loving all people and trying to be as kind and as respectful and as possible. So one has to really ask, what does it mean to fast spiritually? When we abstain from food, we lessen the level of energy we get into our body and the sources of energy. When you do this, you free your energy to focus on feeding your spirit. Feeding your spirit is different from feeding your body. We are made of a body which is coming from mud. Initially, Adam was created from mud, and then Allah blew into him from His spirit. فَإِذَا سَوَّيْتُهُ وَنَفَخْتُ فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِي. So Allah blew into Adam the spirit that gave Adam the life that we all have. Then what happened? It turns the mud into a living human being. So we have two main components, the body and the spirit. All the year we are feeding the body. In Ramadan, you give the body a break and you give the spirit the freedom to unleash the power of your spirit and the powers in your spirit to take control over what the body desires are. So when we abstain, we are exercising control over our physical desires. Mind you, that food and drink and sexual relationship with your wife or husband is halal during all other days. But in the day of Ramadan, you are told it is haram. From the beginning of Ramadan until the end of Ramadan, during the day fasting hours, you are prohibited from breaking the fast. It is not lawful to break your fast. What does this mean? So that points to the fact that the ultimate purpose of fasting is not really deprivation of food and drink. It's not deprivation of what we enjoy in our life, of things that we do. No. The ultimate purpose is the freedom of the spirit and the strength of our will. So if Allah tells us that what is normally halal and lawful for you to do every other day in the year is now prohibited if you believe in me, if you want to be obedient to me. So He is telling you, exercise the power of self-control. And this is why the Prophet ﷺ says, من لم يدع قول الزور والعمل به فلا حاجة لله أن يدع طعامه وشرابه. If anyone does not leave out of his life, out of his habit, false talk, false witness, false testimony, useless discussions, if he doesn't leave all of this out of his life, there is no need for him to leave food, drink, smoking out of his life. It doesn't help him in any way. So the purpose is not torment, the purpose is not deprivation of things that are normally halal and good, and we live on water, we live on food. So the purpose is not to deprive us, the purpose is to enhance the power of self-control. I know that I'm going to eat in a few hours. Am I going to be patient? And that's why here comes the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, in which he says, As-sawm nisfu sabr. Fasting gives you half the power you need to be patient. Was-sabr nisfu al-iman. Being patient is half the practice of being a Muslim. So in the hadith also, the Prophet ﷺ says, إذا كان صوم يوم أحدكم فلا يرفث ولا يفسق. If it is the day of your fasting for any one of you, let him not do anything that is normally used to approach some of their spouses for sexual activity. فلا يرفث. الرفث مقدمات النكاح. فلا يرفث ولا يفسق. Let him never disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it is not right that you fast but you don't pray, even though this is one ibadah and this is another ibadah, but it just doesn't make sense. Because if you are a Muslim, you are required to make salah, ibadah as prayer, and you are required to make fasting also as another ibadah, equally important. Each has time, each has a schedule, but one should not be seen separable from the other. So some Muslims don't remember Allah except in Ramadan, so they fast. Some other Muslims, they don't remember Allah except in Ramadan, so they fast and pray. But after Ramadan, they go back to their old habits and they think that this is Islam. This is a partial, selective practice of Islam. But Islam is to submit to Allah in all orders that He has instructed us to follow. This is Islam. It is not right that somebody picks and chooses when to do what and only come to Allah either when they are in a tight spot, they are having a problem, they are lost a loved one, or they are sick, or only when they have the extra time, they have spent their best energy and best time doing something else, then they come to Allah when they have the time. And we can see and hear stories of examples of people that we live around and they live around us who do not pray so long as they are working. I'm busy doing my work. As if being busy means that you ignore your spiritual needs for prayer. This is not right, and this is not acceptable. You should put Allah first. Fasting also teaches us something important, that Allah Allah is the source and the ultimate authority in our life. He can make things halal, He can make things haram. He can make halal things haram at certain times, right? And He can make them haram in other times. This is for us to learn to live by His rules. So one of the ultimate purposes of fasting is to observe Allah during fasting as a training campaign or camp. I call it the fasting boot camp, the spiritual boot camp for the Muslim. Ramadan is meant to be that, to train us to be constantly observant of Allah's rules. So when you speak, the Prophet ﷺ says, فَإِنْ سَابَّهُ أَحَدٌ أَوْ شَاتَمَهُ فَلْيَقُلْ إِنِّي صَائِمٌ إِنِّي صَائِمٌ. If somebody insults you or attacks you, then as a fasting person you should say, I am fasting, I am fasting. It is a reminder and confirmation for yourself that you are responsible for how you behave when you are fasting. So Islam meant fasting to also give us this type of self-control and exercising self-restraint. So I'm not only restraining my stomach and my mouth from devouring food and drinks and everything else. No, I am also training my tongue. That's part of my fasting. That my tongue should not be wasted. My eyes should not be looking at movies and pictures that I'm not supposed to look at. I should not be wasting my time in Ramadan. This is part of exercising time control as part of self-control. So I do not only control my tongue or my eyes or my ears, I also control my time. How do I spend my time? So in Ramadan, the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ instituted for us rigorous systems that we should follow. You should abstain from food just before the adhan of Fajr, but maximum if the adhan kicks in or the Fajr time kicks in, then you should stop eating or drinking. Some people keep eating and they think they continue to eat until the adhan is finished. That breaks their fast. Once the adhan time kicks in, you should stop eating completely. Also, one should not forget the fact that prayer and fasting are tied together. It is like prayer and charity. So in Ramadan, fasting and charity are part and parcel of the fasting exercise that we do every year. Only 29 to 30 days to give us control over ourselves, our desires, our time, our relationships, which should be much, much better in Ramadan than any other time. So at the end of Ramadan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will tell the angels, bear witness that I have forgiven every one of the Muslims who have fasted Ramadan except for those two. They said, what about those two? He says, they are engaged in disputes, fighting, argumentation, and animosity until they reconcile. So if you have somebody that your relationship is strained or inappropriate, this is the time. This is the time to reconcile with your parents, with your children, with your neighbors, with your relatives, with everybody around you. Which means Ramadan is a season that's supposed to be used for peacemaking and improving relationships. Inshallah, we'll be continuing to cover other aspects of Ramadan in the next few weeks. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us fast Ramadan and practice the best self-control and the best of enhancing our free will so that our choices are always improved and better than the rest of the year. Allahumma. الحمد لله وكفى والصلاة والسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وصفوته من خلقه وحبيبه قد بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وكشف الغمة اللهم أعنا على اتباع سنته ولا تتوفنا إلا على ملته وأحينا بعملنا وباتباع سنته وهديه اللهم آمين. So I want to address another pertinent issue to our fasting here in the United States under the corona atmosphere in which we all live. Recently discussions have ensued between Muslim scholars, imams and researchers of Islamic studies and councils of fatwa all over the world as to whether or not it is correct to pray behind an imam on a virtual connection, like radio, TV, internet connection, video conferencing, whatever means that are available. And all the Muslim councils that I know of in the Muslim world, in the United States, have reached the conclusion that it is inappropriate to pray behind the imam from behind a screen or an audio facility on a virtual connection, like broadcasting on the internet or broadcasting on TV or radio or any other connection. And definitely many of us may ask, but some Muslim imams are saying it is okay. They are wrong. They are wrong. Matters of fiqh that matter for the whole ummah should not be decided by a small band of people who get together on an issue because they agree on it. This is not appropriate. This is not appropriate. Fiqh councils are institutions that are a standing institution that works all the year round to address fiqh issues that matter to the community, to the nation, or to the ummah at large. So we should not come together as few imams and then make a fatwa that we like because we only got together because we agree to it and say this is what it should be. Let me take a minute to discuss why it is not appropriate according to all of these Muslim councils of jurisprudence and fiqh and specialized people in this area. Well, basically, the Jama'ah prayer, congregational prayer, means that we should congregate. If we can't congregate because of the coronavirus, then there is no Jama'ah. So there is no Jama'ah when somebody is in this housing apartment, somebody is in the other housing apartment, somebody is 1 mile away, somebody is half a mile away. This is not Jama'ah. So the definition itself breaks out when we are broken into small groups, each in their own house. This is the basic foundation. The second foundation is, this is not the first time that Muslims are not able to come to the masjid and perform jama'ah. It has happened several times during the life of the Prophet ﷺ and during the lives of his companions and the early generations of scholars. This is not the first time. Whether it was because of heavy rain, flooding, or pandemics or epidemics or any circumstances. What did the Prophet ﷺ say? What is his guidance? His guidance is pray at your home. He didn't even tell people, make one of you as your imam and make jama'at. He said, pray at home, period. Could he have said it? Yes, he could have, right? But because his definition of jama'ah is the jama'ah that comes together in one place, which we all agree it is the masjid. This is the jama'ah. The jama'ah is the jama'ah you pray behind the imam of the place called the masjid, in the masjid. This is jama'ah. But there are other secondary, if you will, jama'ah that you could do. If you lead your family at home, it's jama'ah. If you join your friends or colleagues at work and pray together, it is jama'ah. So nobody can deny this. But in the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, when it was difficult to make the jama'ah in the masjid, his instruction has always been, pray at your place. So there is no reason for us to invent, because there are technical inventions. That is not a good reason to violate the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ from the basics of definition, the basics of purpose. Why do we get to pray here? Why is praying jama'ah in the masjid more rewarding than it is when I pray individually at home? Because in the jama'ah, in the masjid, we get to meet each other. That is the purpose. So if we are unable to meet, then that purpose is gone. That purpose is gone. Thirdly, praying behind a virtual connection is following that virtual connection. So when you pray at home following a virtual connection, you are praying to that means of communication. You're praying to the radio, to the TV, to the computer, to the iPad. That's what you're following. You're not following the Imam. Okay? Somebody may say, but also in the masajid, when the masjid is too large, like our masjid for example, and people have screens to monitor if the Imam, but they are present. So Muslim scholars have put two conditions for a jama'ah to be a jama'ah. One is that they are together at the same time, at one and the same place. Jama'ah is to be gathering of people, a congregation. That's why it's called congregational prayer. Salat jama'ah means a jama'ah, a group of people get together in one place and pray together and follow the Imam. I hope that this is enough for this point, so that we don't leave people in confusion. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless our Ramadan, accept our fasting, and enable us to fast it the way He expects us to. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وقنا واصرف عنا شر ما قضيت. اللهم اقسم لنا من خشيتك ما تحول به بيننا وبين معصيتك، ومن طاعتك ما تبلغنا به جنتك، ومن اليقين ما تهون به علينا مصائب الدنيا، ومتعنا اللهم بأسماعنا وأبصارنا وقواتنا ما أحييتنا، واجعله الوارث منا، واجعل ثأرنا على من ظلمنا. اللهم اجعل رمضان هذا خيرا لنا مما سبق. اللهم اجعل رمضان هذا خيرا لنا ولأمة الإسلام والمسلمين مما سبقه من رمضان. اللهم أعنا فيه على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك. اللهم اشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين، وارحم موتانا وموتى المسلمين، وابسط رزقك للسائلين. اللهم ارفع البلاء والمحن وسائر الفتن ما ظهر منها وما بطن عن بلادنا وعن بلاد المسلمين أجمعين. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم، فستذكرون ما أقول لكم، وأفوض أمري إلى الله، إن الله بصير بالعباد. وأقم الصلاة.